Okay, thank you for being so patient. Can you hear me? Welcome, welcome. Okay. Yeah, I ran into a little bit of a emergency before when I started to log on. I spilled a whole entire cup of coffee everywhere in my kitchen. So I don't know if there's a full moon coming up or what, but my game is off for sure. So I had to do an emergency wipe up. All is good though. Nothing got destroyed. Just one of those things. So thank you for being patient. How is everybody doing today? I think I got kicked out of Canvas too while I was trying to log in here. That's nice. Let me log back in here. Good. All right. Did anybody get started with their projects yet? Your assignment 2. I saw a lot of you guys getting started with your discussions, which is great. I know, it's like a sin, right? I already had a ton of it, so I think I just had too much. So thank you. At least it wasn't in my car. Well, welcome to week 2, live lecture 2. We met up yesterday, and for those of you who were here, thank you. And for those of you who listened to the recording so far, thank you too. So these are always good to watch if you're not able to make it live. That's kind of like the pro of being an online student, is just kind of making it your own schedule, but making sure you watch the lectures is important. Because, a lot of the questions that you guys come to me usually are we talk about and go through in the lecture. So I always know if you were watching the lecture or not. But sometimes you do have questions, even though we went over it in the lecture too, and that's fine as well. But did you guys see what I posted in announcements recently? And it was about, I believe Karen had a question about this yesterday, and I figured I would just clarify it with a quick video here in regards to the differences between duplicate styles and based on styles. Here we go again, my voice dealing with some throat stuff going on here. If you didn't get a chance to look at it, it's the latest announcement I posted. It's a quick little, I think it's like a 7-minute video. And it just kind of explains the differences between duplicate style and basis style in another. Kind of explains it a little bit more clear than I was yesterday. So hopefully that, yes. Yep, so go ahead and take a look. Like I said before, yesterday, based on a style, it's a good way to group the same changes. Say if you have similar text like body copy, but you're just changing certain things about it in terms of maybe indents or drop caps, for example. Basing it on that style will change a lot of those similar styles all in one time. So it's kind of it's definitely a time saver if you have a lot of styles that are very similar to each other. But listen to that video because it shows you some examples too. So it's nice to visually and verbally see it. Okay. Ooh, go back here. Yes, Karen, you were the one that was asking. And we ran out of time. Welcome, Jeremy. All right, so we're just checking in here, see if you guys have any questions before we get started. If anyone does, let me know in the chat area here. We will have a time to open up to you guys if you want to share any type of stuff that you've been working on. If you want to get, if you have questions or want to get a critique, let me know. Get your file ready at the end here. We're just going to go over the continuation of your assignment 2, things that we just kind of have to shape up and change a little bit to make it look more cohesive as a feature article. And then also a couple things that we didn't touch upon that I want to also show you guys. And then we'll go over your assessment too, just a little quiz that you're going to have. And then if you guys have anything that you want to show at the end there, we'll just open it up for you guys. So does anybody have any questions so far at this point? Concerns, questions? Okay. Everybody's good? Okay, I'll take that as a no. We'll see as we go forward here. All right, without any further ado, let's go right into where we started off, or where we left off yesterday. As you remember, I kind of showed you how to start your feature article on page 3, and some things to kind of keep in mind, making it look a little different than your editorial, although I do want to change some things to make it look even more different. And I showed you how I would get started by placing the type in there first, and then kind of working through your style sheets, and then obviously putting your text boxes in there and figuring out what kind of grid structure you want to do. And then I kind of started after that placing in the imagery, and what else did I do? Oh, the pull quotes for the next step. So I did some pull quotes here, and we kind of left off where we still have to make it look more cohesive as an article, because right now this page 6, almost looks like it belongs to page 7, and page 7 really belongs with page 2. So I wanted to show you a few tricks that you can do to make each article look cohesive with one another, so there's no confusion. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do, and I noticed, is, let me bring up my styles. I'm going to make that first letter P drop cap back to that red color for my editorial. So I'm kind of going back to this. I'm going to actually make a duplicate style, my character style, and just kind of make this one red, just so it looks more like this article, which utilizes, actually, let me change that, it's a little darker red, utilizes the colors that are in this article and looks like it goes together. Okay, and this really is just blue. This is just to show the space for my table of contents, which we'll be adding later, so it doesn't necessarily have to be blue or anything like that. All right, so that looks pretty good. I mean, there's really nothing else. I mean, I could probably put a color block behind there too, but I could keep it very simple like this and leave it up to just the simplicity of it and the colors to kind of pull that page together in this page. I did use an element up here, a very thin blue line. That's something that I could definitely utilize here as well in a different way. Let's see, it could even be as simple as bringing it up here. Just those little simple elements that kind of tie things together, just like I did up here, and I would repeat throughout here. Another thing that I wanted to point out, which you can try too, which I think is really something that you might want to do, are like little, and I call them like little flags or tags. And these can be used very simply by just kind of, and I know you probably have seen this before, I'm going to have it bleed off of here and kind of align with my margin. And what they are is just like little color blocks. And let's do a blue. Let's make it so that it corresponds with color here, my article. And let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. Go ahead and make a type box to have a heading in here. And what we'll add in here is the word editorial sure this is paper. Editorial. There we go. And you can go ahead and set this to be a specific, let's see, a specific type font that goes with your magazine. And this is just to allow the viewer to know what section they're on just by seeing a little flag up here. Okay, and then what's nice about that, let me pull this down a little bit, is you can repeat this. I don't know why there's like a little line above here. That's kind of weird. Oh, you know what? Because that has a style in it. We can create a style here. I actually don't mind that. A little line above it. Let's go to styles and let's create a new paragraph style for this. And we'll call this, yeah, see, it's giving it a folio style. We're going to duplicate this style and we're going to just name this tab. Okay. And tab, oh, let me see if this actually pulled in. No, it didn't. Why didn't that duplicate that style? That's weird. Let's give it the same characteristics here. And then the color, I'm going to give it white. And there you go. And now it has a rule above it. Okay. I actually don't mind that. All right, so the main thing to think about this is if you're going to do something like this, you make sure that it's consistent. So I would copy this little flag and go on page 7 with this. And I would put this on the upper right-hand corner. I wouldn't put it here because that's on the spine, right? That's in the spine of the magazine. I would put it way over here. And you might need to adjust your type if that's the case, if it's in the way. But make sure that it's aligning just like you did in the same position that you did on page 2. Now you might need to bump some things down and kind of rework some things because of this, but you know, you can kind of work with it and see what you can do. But what's nice about this is it enables you to allow the viewer to know what section they're on in a simple way and keep it cohesive in your other sections. Try to get 2 up here. Hold on 1 second. All right, pull this up a little bit. I need to adjust my text wrap. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my text wrap. Sometimes this kind of happens too, where you have to adjust the space around it so that the text isn't getting all weird. Let me do more of a square here. Kind of allows me to have a little bit more control over how that text is being wrapped around there. Let me make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So it's all about like kind of massaging everything and making it look good. See, now it's kind of breaking in a better way. Now I have everything even. The only thing I can see is a couple, like right here. I probably bumped this down because I had a little widow there. Everything else looks good. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of how you can also keep it very consistent. Now I would probably change this line at that point. You know, maybe kind of move this, I don't know, move this up or down. The other thing that I kind of want to show you too, that's kind of bothering me now at this point, now that we added that on there, put this right up there, is the fact that now this line starts, you see how this column starts here? We want this column to start at the same height, okay? Because it's like kind of off if you see it across the page. Even if it's not the same article, it just looks a little strange. So we're going to do that. We're going to scale this down. An easy way to scale, if you guys don't know, is right under your, and you might have your scale tool already shown, but right now my my shear tool is showing. Scale tool is letter S on your keyboard, and you can just go ahead and double click on top of that tool, and you can scale it proportionally by making sure that this is linked, and then that'll give you a little bit more room now that I kind of bumped that other stuff down. And we'll play around with this a little bit more, but I wanted to show you that's probably a good way to treat that. All right, so any questions about the little tab? So we start on page 2 and then it goes to page 7. Okay. Now, if you do a tab, you have to keep it consistent. So I would copy and paste it and put the tab on this side, but we're going to give it a different name, of course, because it's a different section. And we're going to give it a different color. It's always important to make sure it's not getting in the way of your image either. So you might need to do some movement of your image if, you know, obviously if it's getting in the way of a face, you know, we want to cover her eyes there. And you could just name this feature. And then whatever color you decide on the feature, which I'm just going to fill it with black right now, make it consistent on all of your pages. Then I would copy and paste this. Suggestion here, you don't have to put it on both of these pages because it is the same article. You just have to do it on one. I'm just going to do it on the right side of this one. Now I will have to bump this down a little bit. And you don't have to start, you know, I'm doing something very general. You guys can do something different. Look at other magazines, see how they deal with keeping their sections consistent. You might kind of come up with something different. I've seen students do some really cool things. Like for instance, maybe in this, I've seen students do this, which was kind of cool. Almost make like a color bar on this side fully, just on the right side here. You know, where maybe it's all black or whatever color. And then they actually take that word and rotate it to make sure you're rotating it in the right way. So it's, and then they make it like really big. So there's some really cool other like creative things that you can do. Let me make it real big. That doesn't have to be so, you know, like how I have it. To make sure it's readable, and I probably would take the roll line out for this though. But, and this obviously would not be here, but kind of cool. Just make sure that your copy box isn't getting too close. At that point, you'd have to pull probably this over a little bit if that were the case. But kind of play around with it and see kind of things that you can do to make it your own personal touch to it. And then I would definitely copy this and put it on the last page. So page 6, as far as the flag goes, just because that's like your ending page. So go ahead and do that. And I would definitely zoom in your work just to make sure you have everything aligned perfectly. I have this bleeding off here. Everything looks good there. Yep, looks good. All right. So now I know when I'm viewing this that, okay, this is a blue header and it says editorial and it continues on page 7. Whereas the other one changes to black and it says feature. So I kind of know that that's another new article. So it helps differentiate the two. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change some things in here and kind of make it look a little bit more cohesive. with everything. Maybe that does go to black. So how can you make your article, you know, color-wise more consistent, maybe more consistent in terms of just different design elements? How can you make it look like the same article? You know, you want to make sure the person understands that they're on the same article when they turn that page. You want them to think, okay, well, what am I reading now? This is kind of weird. Okay, let's see here. What are we going to change this color to? I like this dark red. Maybe we'll utilize that. All right, so let's go to your character style and let's change this to a dark red. Same thing here. Go to your big header feature and go to character style. We're going to go to that darker red. This is darker red than it is over here. So that's a little bit of a difference. Not too much, but let me think. If I should probably change, I don't know. Let me think about this here. See what all my colors are. Could do a dark blue too, but that's kind of the same as this. It's a little hard because the images being used in here, it's always good, and you guys don't have a choice, and sometimes that's also what happens in real life. But let's say that you were given the option as a designer to choose the photos for your feature story. It's always good to choose photos that are all in the same style, almost shot all together in one photo shoot, because you have similar perspectives, similar colors, similar mood settings, whereas this is kind of like 4 different photo shoots shot in different times, different perspectives, different colors. So, you know, just kind of a little heads up. It is kind of nice to have it all done, you know, in the same. If you go to like a photostock.com or whatever, they sometimes have very similar photo shoots of the same things going on. It's just, you know, different perspectives. So sometimes you can get lucky and make it all look very cohesive by showing the same similar shots with your photos. And I know you guys are limited on what you guys are going to be using, and that's fine. And that's typically really kind of what happens in the real world. But I have had, you know, situations where a client will come and say, I don't have any pictures, you know, and I'll be like, yay. So it kind of gives you a little bit more freedom to do what you want. Okay, because I don't have much room, because I had to pull some of this down, I'm going to make this a little bit wider here and this a little bit skinnier as far as my imagery goes. That way it'll bump my stuff down. Sometimes those are the tweaks that you need to do in order to get, you know, everything in there. In terms of making this very cohesive, I'm going to pull up this little band up here, how we had it on the front, although I'm going to make it black to match our front. So little things like this. It doesn't have to be big elements that kind of get in the way of your information. It shouldn't be. It should just be little elements that kind of make it look different but cohesive and unifying all together. I probably would just stop this at this column because of that feature tag right there. Okay. Okay, and then we could do the same thing over here. Just keep it consistent. Copy and paste it down here. And then we can use it. Just make sure everything's aligned. Those snap to guides are really nice. So let me pull my, see if I can see my margins here. It kind of gives you a little bit of an easier time instead of always trying to align it manually. Shows you where you should align it at. I'm going to pull this in because this should end here. And I think we're ending it on the column width anyway. Okay. So right now I'm just going to take a look at what I have and kind of reassess where everything is. I have some of my subheads are different colors here, so I need to change that as well. But I have a really nice deep red. My subheads here, I just need to change maybe to this red as well. Let's see here. Rename this deep red so I know which one that is. There we go. Do I have a character style on this? Yeah. Okay. And just making sure everything is the same. Okay. Let's see, what else can I do here? I have another suggestion that you can do, but it makes you, it kind of almost like you have to add another picture to it. Oh, okay, Jeremy, I'm sorry, I just saw your post there. I will give you the okay if you want to do something like this, as long as you're doing it in a way that's very subtle, okay? A texture in the background, for instance. Now, it says in the directions, sub A, not to use any additional photos, but I will allow you to do something very subtle in the background, like say, for instance, if you're trying to look for texture, just to kind of add something to your pages. And I think that would definitely be something really cool if it works for what your, what your article is about. I mean, it could be very abstract in terms of the color. Like, for instance, this one's really abstract. Some are just like linen. So let me see. I'm going to do this one just because it's really, really subtle, but there's a texture there. So I'm going to download this. And I'll show you how you could do it. I got to do this traffic light thing. So I'm not a robot. Hold on one second. I'm going to download this. This is a free high-res image that you can use. It's copyright free. So I'm going to go ahead and download this and put it on my desktop. I wouldn't download any other images other than texture if you want to do something like this, by the way. This is kind of like the exception. But let's say you wanted to add this texture in all of the backgrounds here, just to kind of give it just a little bit more of a different look to it by adding some texture. Go ahead and take your frame tool, rectangle frame tool. Let me add just want to show you something really cool. And just choose the pages that you want to apply it to. And I'm going to do right up there and the bleeds. Command D, go to your, this is called plaster, by the way. And I'm just going to go ahead and fit it to my frame. And I'm going to send it to back. Then I can see that it's kind of dark, so I want to just give it a little bit of a transparency. So I'm going to go to properties. Where's my properties? There we go. And with that being said, let's bring our properties box over here. We're just going to give it a little bit of an opacity to it, so it's a little lighter. Let's see. Just a little lighter. We'll do about 45. You can still see it, but it kind of gives a nice cool effect to that. So then what you can do is just copy and paste this to all of your pages in the background of just your feature store, whatever store. You can even do this for your editorial if you want. I've had students do that before. Just make sure that you're sending it to back if you're using it, because right now look how like it's kind of taking away from everything. Just sending it to back will allow you to see everything come forward. And then this is just another cool way to differentiate this from your other pages. And it's so subtle. It just gives a nice like dimension to it where it's not, you know, taking away from the readability of it or anything like that. You could just tell it pops a little differently than the feature story. And I would keep a nice, you know, that's a nice contrast. So I would keep this probably white, my editorial. And then, you know, keep my feature story with the textured background. So that's just a little trick there too. If you want to kind of experiment with that, I wouldn't take points off for that if you wanted to use an image in that regards for your pages. Does that make sense, you guys? Are we clear on that? I think sometimes it's fun to play around with that. Plus it doesn't make it, you know, sometimes it can look real flat looking because, you know, even just using color blocks is kind of like flat looking. This kind of gives a nice texture to it. Yeah, exactly. So just have fun with it. All right, just take a quick look and make sure you don't have any, this is called a widow. It's the last, you know, you never want just one word on the last line. To fix that, you would do a shift return on your top hanging words, just kind of bump things down here, doing a shift return. Kind of evens out your copy. This also is kind of bothering me here. Let me see if I can maybe make this a little smaller in my style sheet so that it doesn't break in such a weird way. It's kind of a weird break here. Let me find my style sheets. 1 second. I think if I just make it a little smaller. Oh, here it is. In point size. There we go. That works a little bit better there. Okay. Very, very good. Just have a weird like shifting going on here with the space. So let me see what I'm going to do here. Oh, that's because this paragraph isn't baseline. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see if I have that drop cap. I'm sorry. Let's see. Oh yeah, all lines. That's weird. I think it's because this does not align. See, that's the issue. See how those baselines aren't aligning here? This is the issue that you have with having your headline be in the same copy box as your body copy. Your headline shouldn't have the baselines aligning because you want to make sure you can shift those around. Now, if it's in the same copy box, we might have to do something a little different because you might come up with these weird shifts. So you might have to change that. Let's see how much, you know, actually doesn't change it too bad. I would just, if that were the case, then you're experiencing that, go ahead and change it to every one of these being aligned, indents and spacing, all lines. And then that should alleviate the problem. It's not doing it. Byline. That should alleviate it. That's really weird. Let me see if my subheads are aligning to baseline here. Something's off. Yeah, all lines. Must be a weird spacing in here. That's just check this copy real quick. Drop cap. All lines. And then body copy, that's all set, right? Yep. I don't know why that's shifting so strangely now that this should all be on the same baseline, and it's not. So if you have that issue, I'm not sure why, there must be some type of weird spacing going on here that's doing that. If that's the case, I would just pull all of this out and give it its own copy box. That should alleviate the problem. See how it's aligned now? So I'm just going to give it its own copy box. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'd have to redo a lot of my styles, and I don't feel like doing it right now. So let me just paste this in here in this regards, and then we'll change it as we go. But see how, okay, so it wasn't aligning, so now I'm kind of making it work. Oh, you know what? This isn't aligning either. This whole paragraph's off. So it doesn't have to do with the, that's really weird. I wonder if, let me check the leading here. Maybe the leading's a little bit off. 14, all lines. Huh, really strange. Let me check my subhead again. Oh. I'm wondering if I need to, shouldn't matter. Let me set this to 14. Okay, well, maybe it's the space after that's screwing it up. It's weird because it should align no matter what. So let me go to the space, indents and spacing, and let me set this back to 0. Let's see what's going on here. That's what it is. The space after the subhead. All right, so I had a space after the subhead here, space after. I had, and I'll show you it again, 0.125, and see how that's shifting my baseline. Oops. So in that regards, we don't want to space after the subhead. We want to space after our body copy only. Does that make sense? So right here, oops, what are we doing here? We want to take off the spacing here, so 0 on your subheads. Click off there. And then when you select your body copy, when, you know, it should be body copy. I don't know why this is. Okay. Body copy should be all lines aligned to a grid. And then you can do the spacing after here, 0.25. But not for your subheads. That's what was really screwing me up. I thought it had something to do with my headline, but it didn't. I didn't know I had a space after my subheads. Interesting. So now I can see that my baselines are all should be aligning. No, let's see here. Why is that bumping down again? No, it's not. Am I going crazy? There we go. Now it's aligning. All right. Maybe it's just my eyes playing tricks on me. All right. That looks pretty good. So just check your baselines, and then also check the article before, like the page before, check to see if that baseline is meeting up to the same baseline on the right page. See how that ends on the same line here? Make sure it ends on the same line on the second page as well. So everything should be aligned. It shouldn't be shifted. Like this shouldn't go down like this. It should be all aligned. If I were to draw like a line from here to there, that should all align. Okay, Sterling, no problem. Thanks for joining us. All right, with that being said, let me go check the other ones here. Yeah, see, this is bumped down too much here. Thank you. So I'm gonna bump this up one line so that all of this is on the same baseline. There we go. Okay, I do see a weird space here I need to take care of. So just kind of take a look at your copy. Take a really good hard look when you're done, and just kind of do any type of changes that need to be done. If you have a widow or orphan, widows are, like I said, the only one word on the very end of a paragraph. An orphan is when you only have one line, say like this, at the end of a column, or one line at the top and then it goes to a new paragraph. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Oh yeah, the space after, you were talking about the for the subhead. Oh, you should have brought it up. Sometimes I overlook things for sure. Right here, I have a widow, right? So I need to adjust that. So right before the I just do a shift return, and that'll bump it down. The rule in typography, and let me just give you a heads up here, and some people are really picky about this. So I just bump this word the down, right? So watch what happens to the words when I do a shift return here. Look at these words up here now. They become like nothing underneath them is supporting them. In typography, you really want words to be supported, like this is yours being supported by two a little bit. You want it to be supported by a word underneath it. So because of and the are the, kind of the hangers, I would do a shift return there as well, just to kind of even that rag out a little bit better. Okay, so just kind of a heads up there. Certain things like that, I mean, it seems like it's a small detail, but you would be kind of amazed at how picky some clients can be with that. Let me go back to that because I see here that I have one line and I need to fix that. So before I do that, let me see if I can actually bump money up somehow here. And how I'm going to do that is I'm just going to select this. Actually, I'm going to double click on body copy, and I'm just going to pull this in just a little bit tracking wise. So I'm going to do a -5 here. That just pulls in the space with the copy, so it can be bumped back up, but it looks like it's not really helping me here. So we're going to undo that. And let's see, what else can we do? Sometimes we can add an extra line. Let me zoom out here. This is when it gets a little tricky. All right, so let's see. Sometimes you can add extra lines and this bumps down, but it looks like it's going to be a little trickier than normal here. Hold on. Can I bump this over? See if I can get this over one. That might help. Yeah, see, that screws up my... Let me figure this out, you guys. There we go. This has a... Yeah, see, this needs a return in there because it's doing the style sheet. Okay. All right, so the only other thing I can think of is maybe just pulling this in just a little bit more. Sometimes you have to do certain things like that. Let's see, pinning. Oh. Kind of work with it and see. And then pulling this in a little bit more. This already has like a text wrap on it, so that looks good. And see how that kind of brought that up, so I don't have an issue with that anymore. So that's, just the little things that you can kind of play around with. That looks good. Okay. Some things are really tricky like that, where you have to do some significant changes like that. And it's not significant. It's just kind of making the image a little smaller, little bit more than what you probably wanted to do. But that helps me out because it's no longer one line of text. Now I have 4 and it's perfect. Okay, and that probably brings it up a little bit here too. Good. Okay, and then I go on the 6th page. I have an orphan here. That's really bad break because not only is it an orphan, but it goes on to the next page like that. So I need to fix that for sure. What we could try is making this, instead of a 3 column, let's try to make this maybe a 2 column. Sometimes that changes it. Oh, there we go, that worked. We just have to pay attention to how it changed all your other lines. Like for instance here, we have a widow. Some weird breaks here. Everything else looks good. This can pop back up. No, that might be, yep, that looks good. There we go. So now I don't have a widow there. But let's see, do I have copy that still needs to show here? Yes, I still have copy, and I still have an image I need to place in here. So we need to make this maybe a little smaller here. I'm just going to scale this down, and I'm just going to pull this over so it bleeds off on this side. Now this probably should go up here now because, yeah, that'll probably work better because the sleep is right there. I'll just have to change a couple things there. And this image can go smaller somewhere too. We don't have very much room. So let's think about this. Where can we gain some space here? Well, I could shift everything up a little bit here, but it's kind of nice that this breaks and it has a nice subhead. This all looks really good there. So maybe let me think about this. How much more text do we have? If you want to see how much text you have too, oh wait, it's all the way to the bottom here. Let's make this just kind of similar to the same size as this one. Maybe that's kind of what we'll do. Keep it small. And then just kind of try to implement this in a way that's going to work for all of this. Let me bring up my type text wrap. Still have some. If I bleed it off this side here, I'm trying to figure out the best way to deal with this image here because we don't have very much room there. That actually works. Pull this out just a little bit more because we can't see the dog. Can we get a little bit bigger without, yeah, let's see. We can also change the clear space on this one. I just bumped it up a little bit so that it's bumping up all of my lines here. So that'll work out. So just, just kind of the little things definitely help. Okay, let me see what this looks like here. Then all the extra stuff. Let me put like a border on this one since we have a border on the other one. Let's go colors. Let me reset my essentials here because everything is kind of all scattered around. There we go. All right. Color swatches don't come up, of course. Let's do like a little thin line. Change my stroke. Let's change it to like a 1/2 point. So it's like not, you know, so thick. And let me try to bump this up a little bit to kind of get it. A little better placement there. There we go. And everything looks good. There's like a couple things here I need to fix. It's a widow there, but everything else looks good. So I got all of my images in. I got my pull quote. Pull quotes in. I had to make them a little smaller, but I think that works. It's just a lot of information in here. Yep. Yep. As long as it's nothing like, obviously it's getting close to where that dog is. You know, I would like to have it. This is where the trim edge is going to be. This is the bleed, as long as you have a bleed here. I would probably like it to be more, like show more of the dog, but that's like right at the edge there. Yep. So it's a little tricky. Now I could probably pull this in a little bit, not that way, but you know, to kind of meet up to here, but I don't want it to be super small either. So I'm kind of trying to figure it out, how it would work with the bleed and still work so that I have enough room here. Yeah, I could flip it. I don't think there's anything in there that would be like word-wise. That's a good idea. Actually, that might work out better because she'll be looking into the copy instead. Good idea. All right, so let's flip that. Oops, let's go. No, wait, cancel. Image setter. How come I'm like drawing a blank here? Hold on. Flipping it. Let's see. Content aware objects. There is a way I think you can do it with your rotate tool. There is a way you can do this. Like, I think it's, I thought it was under one of these, but maybe not. Let me see, properties box here. Frame fitting, options. I'm gonna figure it out here, somewhere in here. Fit, import, embed. Yeah, you can change it. Like you can do it in Photoshop first to flip it, but there should be a way you can do this too in InDesign, and I know I've done it before. Frame fitting options. I think so. Let me just 1 second here, guys. Figure it out. Should be like a reflect. Arrange. Oh, okay. Yeah. Let me see if I can. Layers, object layout, transform, align. Ah, is this it? This might be it. Let's rotate. Let's scale. Flip vertical, flip horizontal. Okay, let's see if this actually did it right. Here we go, flip horizontal. Yay, I knew there was a way to do it. So it's in your transform, and you go up to the upper hand corner here, and you just say flip horizontal. And it flips that. Now, the only way that that would work, it works with this picture because there's no like words on here. If there were words on here, I did it, yay. Then it would be weird because then it would be backwards and you could tell it was backwards. But yeah, this would work perfectly on this picture because there's no words. You know, it doesn't look odd in any way because of that. We figured it out. I thought I'd be able to figure it out. I just never really did it. I haven't done that in here in a long time, so it's changed. Some of the tools have changed too, where you can find certain things. That's why I was like, okay, wait a second. I'm going to figure this out. I thought there was an option where I can transform it here. Maybe the free transform tool. That's kind of free and open though. Let me see. No, see. Yeah, so transform palette is where you would find how you would transform that image so that you could flip it. We did it. Or you could just do that in Photoshop and bring it in. You know, that's you know, you definitely want to do that anyway because a lot of these images you need to fit and change the colors to CMYK. And we can go over that later too because I haven't done that. They're all JPEGs right now. You need to change them to TIFFs. You need to change the color mode. That's all the details that you get into it when you're ready to send a print. So at some point you will be opening up each image in Photoshop. Yep, the proper size, yep. All right, so this looks pretty good. I have everything aligned. All my baselines are aligned. It's looking, I think, pretty cohesive. You guys think? In terms of it looking like another article. And it looks like it's cohesive. I have my little tags in there saying feature story. All my columns are aligned. Yeah, you could do it from the start. Sometimes you might want to wait because like you saw with this picture, I adjusted this and it was a lot bigger and then I made it a lot skinnier width-wise. So sometimes it's good to kind of wait. Oh yeah, I see that. It is a little off, isn't it? What's going on with this? There we go. Just bumped it down one more. No, you're good. Thank you for pointing that out. No, that looks good. That looks good. For some reason, that was just not bumping down. That looks pretty good, though. Thank you. Thank you. That looks good, too. Everything else looks aligned. Yep. I just did a little, you know what I did was I selected this, and watch when I hit up on my keyboard, it like bumps it up a little bit. I'm not sure why that's doing that, but it should be aligned if I have it all aligned to a baseline. So there must be some weird spacing going on with my styles. And I'd have to go in and check each style like I was showing you before, all my subheads, making sure they all have the same, you know, aligned to a grid and there's no space after, just kind of double checking all of that, which I can go in and there's a space after that. I wonder, yeah, that's the byline. But I would definitely go in and check all of that just to make sure that the spacing issues. But you know, like you said, you just give it an eye and like zoom in, draw your margin guide down from your rulers and just make sure everything's aligned perfectly. That looks pretty good. Things to kind of be aware of too. Things that I look for. Thank you, Ray. Not just the baselines, but do the columns all line on the top from page to page? From page to the next page, you know, are they starting on the same position? Do you guys know how to figure that out really easily? I'm going to show you something really cool. Oops. So you go to info. So you go to window and choose info. And I'm going to select this box here, this copy box. And if I push, okay, so look at this info box when you select your first column. There's an X and a Y coordinate that with inches and a width and a height. So this is just telling me what my width and my height of this box is. And then my X and my Y coordinates are pretty much telling me, oh, and it's moving. Why is this moving up and down? Here, hold on one second. This should be telling me where my position of my box is. And hold on one second, guys. Yeah. So this is about, let's see, maybe this might be in a different position as the other one. Hold on. Oh, it's not giving me the info. Hold on one second. Okay, let me make sure this is on. Okay. Okay, so if you select your copy box and you just pull it down a little bit or just kind of select it and act like you're going to move it, you can see that the X and Y, and then there's a D kind of showing there. The D is 0.0428. That should be, let's see, the X and Y is 0.0, what was it? That should be in the same position. I don't know why this is not working. Before I tell you something wrong here, because before the X and Y coordinates should be working and they're not working here. And they should tell you exactly where these boxes are positioned, and this is getting all like funky on me here. So let me bump this up here. Let me get back to you on that. But there should be a way where you can see where this is positioned on the top and the bottom, same as your other copy boxes. For some reason, it's not showing me in the actual info box. So I might have to revisit that just to kind of make sure I have that right, because before it would show in the X and Y coordinates. I'm not sure why it's not showing there. I'll get back to you on that. But there should be a way where you can check it to see if it's on the same baselines. I'm not sure why it's not doing that. I used to always check it in there, and it's like acting really weird. So, okay, I'll get back to you on that. I don't want to spend like all this time trying to figure it out. It should be simple and easy, and it's not working out for me. So I'm going to push forward here. All right. But, you know, you can double check it, just kind of pulling down your margins in the meantime from your rulers, you know, kind of just making sure all of your columns align. You can also do a shift return for both of these, like any columns that you have, and go to your align options if you know, want to make sure that they're aligned on the top. Right here, align top edges. That'll make sure they're aligned as well. Don't laugh at me. I used to, oh man, I used to do so many publications, and you know, many years ago, and I just would, it's like, you know, second nature, all the things that I would look at. But things have been changing so much in the programs itself. Just simple things, you know, just in a different, they just moved them to a different palette or something like that in a panel. And we're always trying to keep up with software and technology, but technology as instructors as well. But sometimes, you know, those things kind of change too much, and we come up to little issues like that. We're like, okay, well, where was this? It used to be here. So all the updates, we're trying our best. All right. The other thing that we need to talk about is, let's see. If you're using an image, see how this folio comes down here and it's kind of being cut in half with this image kind of in front of it. So let me pull this down a little bit. It's not actually working here. Let me make sure. Yeah, it looks good. So if that's the case and it's only happening, and this is kind of a nice place to have it happen because it's a double page spread, so you can at least see these details on the right hand side. So what I would suggest, if you had a page and if it was a page that you didn't really need to see the folio on, you don't necessarily have to see the page number on every page, especially if it's a double page spread, because we already have a page number on this side. Go ahead and just put a none folio on top of that page so that it just takes everything off. And it's okay because, you know, at least it's not splitting that word in half. But we already know the other folios on this side, we already kind of know that it's part of this page anyway. But it's something that you can kind of keep in mind. Okay. The next thing is, and we talked about this the last time about part of the assignment. Let me go back to the assignment details here. I wanted to show you something. You can make as many master pages as you want. So you can make a master page B and a master page C and so on and so forth. And it's really kind of based on how you want to organize your pages and what you want on each section. And it makes sense for really large publications to have different master pages. But for this particular magazine, I'm going to keep it pretty clear for you guys. I'm going to show you how to duplicate a master page so I can show you how to create another master page. But you don't have to necessarily create a new master page for this second part here. It says, create a second master page to include the following folio elements. I would probably just edit the A master page because I think this can get you in a little bit of a trouble going forward with page numbers. So what I would do is definitely go back to your A master page and go ahead and make sure you have your page number set correctly. Put your magazine logo in the folio. Just make sure you have the current month and year, and then maybe the magazine website, kind of change it up. It doesn't have to be centered now. Nope. I will show you, just so you know, how to create another master page. So here's your master page A. Can you guys see that in your page panel? Make sure I'm sharing the right document here. There we go. Sometimes I get too crazy flipping back and forth. Okay. So master page A is what we've been dealing with, so you can see all the A's on there. If you want to create a new master page, all you would have to do is go up here on the right-hand corner of your Pages panel and just say New Master. This will create the next one, and you can rename these, but it just sets it to default as B. And if you click OK, it's going to give you just another master page set. So this would be like, say for instance, for the feature article, we could do something where maybe that page 4 is treated a little differently. So you wouldn't make a left B master page for that. So I'll show you real quick. So let's say I'm on master page A. I'm going to copy this left side folio. I'm going to go to my B, and I'm just going to paste this in there kind of the same spot as we have the other one. The only difference is, since I'm going to show you how to apply this to that one page with the image that was in the way. I'm going to align this perfectly there. Okay, see how it says B now? So, because it's B. Let's say we don't want that fit me to show, so we're just going to eliminate that, because remember how it was kind of being taken out by the image, and we're going to take this out too. We don't need the page number. The only thing that's going to show is the 2019. We're going to hit save, and then see page 4. We put a none over that. Let's put this left B over top of that. And then when we click on B, you'll see that the page number appears here, or just the date. So you could do something like that if you wanted to. Say if you had an image that covered it and you wanted something to show only and you didn't want to eliminate all of the folio, you could do that too. But that's the only thing that's affected, is the specific page that you edited on B. Okay. With that being said, let's go back to your A. And what we're going to do is, you don't have to center anything. I know that was a question. You can set this up however you want. The only thing that really needs to be on the same position are the page numbers. So the page numbers have to be on the outside corner, just like I mean, you wouldn't have it on the inside because you can't see it, right? So on the outside, it has to be the page numbers. Now, it talks about having a month and a date. You can go ahead and add this in here. You can do like a little, let's see, let's do, like, what month is it? Sheesh, October. Sometimes magazines are monthly and sometimes they're bi-monthly, sometimes they're just yearly. So it's really up to the magazine. You can kind of make it up as you want. This also talks about the website, and then also the logo. So I'm going to do fitme.com, Halloween, yep, as part of that. And then I'm just going to take this out completely, and I'm going to paste in the logo. And I'm going to put it in the halfway mark here. So I'm actually going to select that type box and draw out a vertical line here showing the halfway mark. Okay. Then I'm going to take my rectangle frame tool and I'm going to draw a really small little box. This should be tiny, tiny, tiny. It should probably be around that size, maybe even smaller. It's not a big deal if it's really hard to see, because you know it's already shown on the front of the front of the page of the cover. It will be shown on the cover really large. So I'm going to choose, there's two flags in the flag folder, black and a white. I'm going to choose the white just because I have a white background here. And then I'm going to fit the page. Now, this can only get so small, so you might need to make the box a little bit bigger to accommodate it. But there we go. And then center this as best you can on your folio. And then what I would suggest at this point too, just go ahead and delete the right one and we'll just copy and paste this one over. Copy, paste, or an alt drag is fine too. The only thing is you just have to swap the page number with the date. And I showed you how to do that the last time, so I'll show it to you again. Keep that where it's at. We're going to copy just the A, just copy it. You don't have to delete it right away. Sure, and then go to the very end of this .com and paste. Then we're going to copy this part, delete, select the A and do a paste. Let me pull this up a little bit so it's aligned. So there we go, save it. It's getting a little close to the bottom, but I don't think it's too bad. It's because we have a roll line above, I would definitely have this centered a little bit more, but because we have a roll line, let me see here real quick. Like I would have it probably more like that. You could do something where you fill it with white and it becomes like a box around it. But I don't know if that looks kind of odd. I kind of liked it before. I'm going to pull it down a little bit. It can only get to, so small too. So that's the smallest it will go, unless you went into the actual AI file and made it smaller. If you're happy with that, just select save, go back to your actual page numbers to click to see if it came across okay. Just make sure it doesn't look too crammed in there. Oh, do you have some issues with your, now see, this is why also you would make a B. See how this texture is going over everything, your folio and everything? If that's something that you're going to have reoccurring and you don't want your folio to be affected, because you can't change this in any way unless you create a new master page. So you would go to your master page B and you would actually, this is kind of tricky, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm doing here. Paste in that texture first, because that's going to be on every single page of your feature, if that's what you decide to do. Send it back. And then I would go back to your master page A and just duplicate this. The whole thing, shift select, group or copy, go back to B. And pretty much you're just pasting this so it's over top of your texture. Okay, save that. And so B will be where you will only assign it for your feature. So for instance, start of page 3, you'll do the right page of your B master for that. So you would just drag and drop, drag and drop, drag and drop on the right, drag and drop on the left, just on your feature. And that way you're, when you go back to your pages, let me see here. I think I need to get rid of the, yeah. Your folio will be able to, show through. Now, the only thing you need to do, because I placed in my textures first on the actual pages, I just need to go in and delete those. Okay. The only difference is now this needs to be changed again. I would just make a completely new like C master page and do kind of what I did with the B left side without having this middle logo here. Does that make sense, you guys? So I would make like a new master page C. And for this one, of course, I would have, this is only if you have elements that you're using on the background like I am, and then images that are in the way too. I would just delete that like I did the first time, delete that. And let me go back and grab the texture on page B and put it on C. And I'm going to save that, and then that C will be on page 4. And that just eliminates that flag there that gets cut in half. It's kind of a lot of work, so if you can avoid it, that's fine, but I just wanted to show you the options. It's always good to see how these work as far as style sheets and how you can make it work for your advantage, especially if you have textures that are bleeding off. It all depends, really. That's a good question. It depends on the designer, it depends on the magazine. There could be publications only like 30 pages. There's publications that are 200 plus. And there's some designers that are real stringent on, you know, every section being the same, master pages all the time. And you'll notice if you work with other designers, everybody works differently. And hopefully you'll work for a place where everybody has to work in the same, you know, they have to stick to the same parameters, because it does get kind of crazy sometimes with when you jump onto somebody else's file and they're doing it differently than yours. Yeah, so it's really dependent upon the magazine. It depends upon the designer. And so it's really hard to say. Typically, I would say 1 or 2 I've seen in my experience. So master pages are similar to style sheets, only they apply to a whole page. And typically they're only used for repeatable elements such as page numbers and or elements that don't really move. They stay the same on every page, that you're not having to copy and paste. Just like with style sheets, you don't have to manually recreate every paragraph and body copy style. It's just style sheets are used for type primarily, and master pages are used for what's being shown on that page. Now there are other, and I want to say primarily style sheets are for type, but there are object styles too. We just didn't get into that. That's kind of like if there's repeatable objects, like say for instance, this line up here was always going to repeat on every page, the same spot, the same look. We could create this as an object style. That makes sense. Any questions about any of that? Yeah. Okay. So what I'm going to really look at when I open your file, are your baselines all aligned? Are your columns all aligned? You guys already caught me having my baselines off, so I'm going to catch you guys too. I'm looking. So another thing is consistency. I want to make sure that your article, your feature article, looks different than your editorial article. Can I tell a difference, or does it look like it kind of could be the same article? Do you have hierarchy in each of your articles? Do you have a focal point that you go to first? Do you have a first, second, and third hierarchical order of elements? Or does everything, if everything had the same emphasis, that's when it gets confusing. You don't know where to look first, second, third. Do you have a nice flow of hierarchy in your articles? Are you paying attention to emphasis on subheads as well, or do they look like they're just part of the body copy? Is your type readable? Do you have a nice ratio of point size versus leading? That has a big deal with readability. Are you playing around with your line lengths where they're not too long? You know, are you playing around with your columns so that it works for the flow of your imagery? So these are the things I'm going to be paying attention to. Make sure you're not having images too close to copy. It shouldn't be right up against the copy. You need a nice balance of space in between, just like the gutters in between your columns of text. There's a reason for that. It allows the viewer to easily view and read columns of large amounts of text. It balances your layout out as well. When you do your quotes, I'll be seeing if they look bigger and they're more emphasized than the rest of the copy. Are they placed in there in a strategic way? Do you have enough margin space if you're using an element like this all the way around that's consistent? Does it make sense for the article? Are you using all the imagery in your articles that need to be in there? Are you emphasizing parts of your body copy that needs to be emphasized, like bulleted copy or numbered copy? I believe the Remodeler magazine has a lot of different types of sections within the body copy that you can emphasize and change up a little bit. Maybe make some parts italic, some more bold, just kind of make it easier to read. When it all kind of flows together, copy-wise, there's no visual pauses in between, that's when it becomes harder to read. Another thing that I wanted to point out too, because I see this a lot, in body copy, if you don't have, see how I have spaces and they're all equal after each paragraph? See how they're spaced after each paragraph? If you don't have this space here, let's say I have it like that. That's not good because it's hard to see. It kind of all runs together. There's no visual pause there. And it's okay if you don't want an extra space after each paragraph. The only thing I would ask you to do, if that's the case, put an indent on this. And that's very easy to do. All you have to do, and you'd have to keep it consistent, go to your body copy, go to indents and spacing, and you would just do first, let's see here. Yeah, first line indent. Actually, it would just be left indent. Oh, I'm sorry, no, first line indent. You want it on the first line only. Do not go past, I would keep it at 0.125. If you go past 0.25, it's too much. Okay, so keep it in between 0.125 and 0.25. Don't go anywhere further than that. And this has like a, there we go. So if, okay, let me take out the spacing here. If you don't have spacing after each paragraph, if this is set at 0, set your indents so that at least you can tell that it's a new paragraph. Does that make sense? Yep, Raymond, I can show you that real quick. So either choose a space after each paragraph or indents. Either or kind of separates it out. Okay, so that's a great question. Raymond has a question. He said, I always forget what the heck leading, tracking, and other typography elements mean. Do you have any suggestions on how to memorize these elements a bit faster? Is there a chart online that you can find? I will look for one, but I can review too. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of infographics I can pull, and I can do that and post it to announcements. Let me show you real quick here. Okay, so let's go to your character box. Okay, so point size is point size. That's the point size of your type. The leading is the space in between your sentences. So right here, if you keep your cursor right over top of these little examples here, no, it's not showing it. It should, intuitively highlight and show you what each of these are. This is leading. And leading is set at 14 here. If I go higher, now this is, hold on one second. This is aligning it to all lines, so none. If you're spacing it higher in number, the space becomes larger. That's the leading. That's the space in between your copy. And typically, see how this is getting more crayon looking? Typically, you want a 20% difference between your point size, whatever point size you use, and your leading for the best readability option. So right now, this is really tight, harder to read. So 20% would be about 10 point, 14 point leading. That's the best ratio of point size versus line spacing. Okay, so that's leading. Oh, there we go. It popped up. So you can see the leading is right there. And like I said, I'll try to find an infographic for you. Now, kerning, does anybody know what kerning is? And let me type my name out here and I'll show you kernings. I took a lot of type classes whenever I was a graduate. And let me do basic paragraph here. So kerning is when you want to see how my name is. Let me get it bigger here. See how my name visually, it says it's equal spatially, but because the letter forms are so different, sometimes it appears that maybe the P and the R are farther apart. Yep. So kerning is a way that you can individually space one or two characters together, like adjust the space, okay? So kerning is different than tracking. Tracking does the whole line of text or all the spaces in between every single character, whereas kerning is individual spaces. So I can do kind of just the P and the R, or if I do tracking, I do all of the spaces in between. Tracking affects the entire word spacing wise, whereas kerning is only adjusting the space in between two characters. Does that make sense? Okay. So this is kerning and this is tracking. So I set this at 0 here. Let me see. Actually, let me set this at 0. That's probably affecting it. And I should be able to, let's see, matrix, optical, there we go. So I should be able to optically change this. If I go to matrix, it's gonna just be at where it's at 0. If I do optical, it's gonna pull this in based on how you see it visually, okay? Same with this. If it needs to, it'll kind of adjust it. Now tracking does all of the letters adjustments. What else did you ask about? Yep, I could probably definitely find you an infographic that helps with that, but that's pretty much what it is. I do see a lot of students too who accidentally change these two elements here, and these should be always the same, 100%, 100%. What this is it's representing the vertical and the horizontal scale. Whenever one is off, that's whenever you're you're distorting your type, so it's distorting the letter forms. See how this is? Let's do 50 and 100. It's squishing it. Same thing if I have this at 150, it's pulling it vertically up, it's distorting it. Make sure that these are always at 100 and this is at 100 all the time. Headlines, body copy, really shouldn't be changing unless you accidentally change it. When you distort type, it becomes hard to read because letter forms are specifically made for readability purposes if you're dealing with very classic typefaces. So you don't really want to change any type of width or height of your letter forms because it just becomes really hard to read. Okay, something happened here. I lost all of my, I think I saved over, and this is all screwed up for some reason. I'm not sure why. Huh, okay. Something got funky in here. Oh, you know what, my type, I must have accidentally changed my body copy. Let me change this back here. In the process of showing you guys. So I have 10 and 14. Let me just make sure that this is the same. 10 and 14. Okay. There we go. Okay. All right, so now we're ready to go. We have everything looks great. Read over it. You might even want to print it out. If you don't have a printer, it's okay. Just, you know, it's kind of nice to see it printed out sometimes. If everything looks great, now you need to package it. And it's okay if you have empty pages, that's fine. Get rid of this. Save it as, and I should have probably changed the name of this, assignment 2. And you're gonna package this, so pay attention because a lot of you guys are not doing this correctly either. Okay, so, and some of you guys are doing a great job with this, so great job. So you're gonna go up to File in InDesign and choose, it's really easy, just choose Package. Everything looks good, select Package, and just make sure every single thing is checked, even include PDF. Smallest file size for a PDF is fine. I'm just going to put it on my desktop so I know where it goes and hit package. All of those need to be checked. You need to include your fonts, your images, so that when I open your InDesign file, I'm not having any issues viewing your fonts or your imagery. All right, let me share my desktop. So when that's ready to go, let me hide everything. It puts it in a nice little folder here on my desktop. So open it up, make sure that there's an InDesign file. This just is showing me that I have it open, so that's fine. My PDF, just open that up, make sure it looks good. And when you open this up, go up to your viewing options and go to page display and say 2-page scrolling. And this will allow you to see it in a more kind of like a spread, printer spread way here. Got a 50%. Just take a look. Does everything look good? Give it a second eye, especially the double feature. Make sure it looks good. Folio looks good. And when everything looks good, we're going to just zip this entire folder so we can submit it all as one file. And you can either do that by clicking on Control-Click and compress if you're on a Mac, or you can select the folder and go up to File, Compress. So this is the file that you would submit. And let me see how its size this is. 36 megabytes. Might be a big file size because of my, remember those high-res texture backgrounds? That's what's making it a larger file. So if you're doing something like that in terms of texture, like downloading a high-res file, just kind of be aware of that. And I didn't even change the resolution, so it's a pretty big file. All right, any questions about that? A lot of information here, but I think we covered a lot that I wanted to hit there. Okay. Let's just quickly review what's going to be on the quiz here, and then we'll see if you guys have anything that you want to share. Yeah, it is a lot, but you don't have to know everything. It's like with anything, like Photoshop. Photoshop is like a monster in itself, but you don't use all of the, as a designer, you don't use all of the functions in Photoshop. So as long as you know the basics and the foundational stuff, you're good. Yep. And you'll learn things, you'll experiment, and as you go forward, you'll get into more of the detailed stuff and advanced stuff, and that's just part of the process. Photoshop is like a monster in itself, isn't it? It's crazy. So if you're like a photographer, you're going to use it in a different way than you are a designer. Okay, so your midterm quiz is 50 points, and let me zoom in here. It touches upon the learning objectives covered here, so pretty much all of the things we've been working on the last 2 weeks and researching. So basically here, it's talking about, I can read through here about your career relevancy here. It's 15 questions and it's untimed. Be careful to read the questions. And what's in your actual quiz will be from your course media, as well as all the things that we kind of cover the last 2 weeks. So going back here and just kind of reviewing week 1 and week 2 is a good idea, or keeping this page open while you're taking the quiz is a good idea if you can do that. That way you can kind of problem solve if you have any questions. I can't really review the questions themselves because they won't let me, but what's nice about this, it just kind of shows you the objectives covered here. So all of these objectives are covered. So about efficiency of workflow, multi-page product, 3 strategies to create an efficient workflow to create a multi-page project, design strategy for multi-page layout, utilizing principles of design. It talks about the advanced grid system. You guys are discussing it this week, so kind of know what the differences between like manuscript, column, grid structures are. I believe, let me check that for you. I can actually just quickly take a look here. Hold on. I believe it's all multiple choice. Let's see. Yep. All multiple choice. Yep, you're welcome. Yeah, it doesn't say, I said usually. All right. So that's really it. I'm going to wrap it up so you guys can take advantage of this time if you need to, if you want to show anything that you have questions about or want me to take a look at. I am going to kind of give it to you guys. If not, we'll just wrap it up. You have nothing yet. Okay. That's okay. If, like I said before, if you want to email me your work too, like say before you submit it, and I can take a look at it before you submit it for a final submission, I can give you some feedback before that. Okay. Just make sure you're zipping it and sending it. You can send it through regular email, to my work email. So yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. I'll be around, so I'm here to help you guys. I want everybody to do really well and learn a lot in this class. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a lot of lectures there, Raymond. Uh-oh, Christina. Slacking. No more slacking. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of like, everybody's getting ready for the holidays coming up here, right? Can you believe Christmas is so close? What, like 90 some days from now? I don't know if I should bring that up. Yeah, well, yeah, I think sometimes, Christina, you're so used to working with 2 classes and then you go down to 1, it's almost like it makes you a little bit less motivated. I don't know, that's kind of how I would feel when you know you have a lot of stuff to do. I don't know, I just have more energy and more motivation when I'm under stress, I guess. Yep, Halloween's coming up too. That's pretty much over in stores though, right? We're all until like Easter now. You know, right? This goes so quick. And then when you get older like me, it goes even faster. So it's like, it's crazy. It's really crazy. There you go. I agree. I agree. That's funny. Is anybody going to any haunted houses or any type of really cool like farms for the fall? I stayed at a haunted hotel last weekend, which was kind of fun. It was around in the 1800s. Just for like a night. It was kind of fun. A real haunted hotel, not a fake one. Yeah, I love that stuff. It's like, I just love it. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep, Christina. Oh, nice. You're having a Halloween party? Like at your house? Awesome. That'll be fun. We had a Halloween party when I lived in Florida. We hired 2 psychics to come and a whole bunch of people that were going to get psychic readings. And we had a Halloween party with psychics. That was kind of cool. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I love that. I love it. Yep. Have fun with Jason and Freddie. Homemade chili. There you go. Now you're making me hungry. I want some. That sounds really good. I'm making spaghetti tonight, so. We're all coming over, Raymond, where you live. Coming over for scary movie night weekend. There you go. I love it. I love it. It's this time of year. Is it cooler in Denver now? What's the... Oh, okay. So where are you going to be at? Like 40s? 30s? Wow. Yeah, it's... Oh, geez. It's going to be in the 70s here, which is kind of crazy, but I guess you guys are in higher elevations too. Yeah. Definitely getting cooler here too. It's nice though. All the leaves are changing and this is like my favorite time of year. I just don't like what happens after. Yep, homemade soup time, chicken noodle soup. Good stuff. Okay, well, enjoy. If I don't get to talk to you, have a great, scary Halloween weekend. Oh, okay. Aspen's peak season. That always reminds me of Dumb and Dumber movie. Aspen. And Masonite. Samsonite. Ooh, with hot dogs. That sounds good. That's like hot dogs and mac and cheese. Chili dogs. Yep. You guys are making me hungry now, and I'm trying to lose weight. All right, guys. It's great to have you. Oh, and hot cocoa, too. I love it. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks for coming in. It's great talking with you guys. You guys, too. Let me know if you have any questions going forward, okay? And I'll be on the discussion boards. You guys have a great day. Thanks for coming in. All right. Talk soon, guys.